Hello everyone, I'm Bets Golden. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to share with you some new goodies by Simon Hurley. This is a brand new ink pad complete with a Reinker that he sent me. I'm going to go ahead and set that Reinker off to the side for today, but I will do some fun stuff with it in the future. This is his brand new background stamp. Isn't it lovely? It is showing puddles. It's like reminiscing of puddles. It's so cool. And then this is a really wonderful stamp set that has some great sayings, perfect for rainy days or for spring or for just when you're under the blues, have the blues and you want to mail some encouragement. This is a great stamp set for this. And I think it's perfect with his new color. So let's jump on in. All right, so for this, I'm going to be pulling out my gel press little stamps. I love this little set. And everything that I'm using, you can find down below. So if you want anything, go check out those links provided for you. They're there for your convenience. This is a circle, and I wanted to create this background stamp and put it in a circle on my card. So I'm going to show you a technique that you can do that, because sometimes that can be pretty tricky to change the shape literally of your stamp. So if you just go ahead and just ink it up really well with your ink pad there and just get a nice covering. I'm doing quite a bit because I've not used this ink pad, nor have I used this stamp. So I'm not quite sure what I'm in for in doing this. So I'm going over it pretty good. Normally, you don't have to go over it that well, but like I said, I've never played with this color or this stamp before, so I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get. I am working on a card base that is the Simon Hurley cardstock. I just took a 8.5 by 11, scored it down, cut it down the middle, and then scored it. And I got 2 card bases that are perfect A2 size. And now I'm going to take that circle gel plate and press it in, picking up that ink as well as that stamp. And I'm going to set that off to the side, lift my ink that's left on that stamp, because it's going to dry quicker. On the gel press, there's a little bit more time, keeps it kind of suspended and moist for a little bit longer. And then there we go. So I created one background like that. You can kind of see the circle in there, but not so much. But check this out. So for this one, I want to get those puddles in the circle. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that right over there. And you're going to see how pretty this looks. It's absolutely perfect. Love it. And that color is gorgeous. So for the next stamp set, I'm going to go ahead, or the next card, I should say, I'm going to go ahead and just ink this up just one more time. And again, I'm going over it pretty well because I wasn't sure what was left over from the last stamp, and I wasn't sure if they would be darker in areas, so I went over it again pretty well. You probably don't have to be this liberal with your inking of your stamps when you're doing this technique, but you know, I'm like, better safe than sorry, right? All right, so if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd like to take this opportunity to encourage you to do so, making sure that you hit that little notification bell. All right, so for this one, I just took a piece of cardstock. This is just a simple one, and I cut it down to 5.5 by 5.5, and I'm just pressing it onto that stamp. And this is going to give me another card base. So with this, I do have 3 card bases, and don't worry, hang out until the end of the movie, until the end of the video, and you will see these cards totally complete. It was so much fun to do this. All right, so from here, I'm going to go ahead and pull out another card front, and only this time I'm actually going to be doing some ink blending on the front of it. And I'm going to use this in another one of his recent colors called Sidewalk Chalk, and we're going to blend that on through, and you're going to see kind of a fun way that you can actually use water in the stamp set to create an image. It reacts with the water and kind of lifts that color. So it's so cool. So I'm just giving a really nice blend. It takes me a little bit of time because I want to blend in the 2 colors. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure that you leave them down below. I always love to interact with you guys, and I will do my best to get back to you. I read everything you guys put there, so I always do listen and definitely try to find you answers to any of your questions, or just, you know, say thank you for commenting on my videos so it keeps it in circulation. Also, if you like this video, make sure that you go ahead and just give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out. In addition, you can share this video anywhere on your social media outlets and any groups that you may be in that would have fun learning about different ways to use a background stamp. This is one of my favorite ways to use a background stamp, which is what I'm doing right now. And as you can tell, I'm really taking my time to go ahead and just blend in those colors. And I want a really beautiful dark color blue on that. And I'm doing that because when I go ahead and have this react with water, it's going to lift some of the color. And I really want it to show that image. So I really am heavy-handed with this. So this is a newer color of his, Sidewalk Chalk. It's a really pretty pink. I just love it. And it blends beautifully with his new blue color as well. So I really like these two colors together, and they're pretty easy, pretty seamless to blend. Simon Hurley ink is a dye ink, and that means that they do react with water for a little bit. So that's why I'm able to use some water on this. You don't want to use these inks with alcohol marker. So for your coloring and things like that, I would encourage you to actually use his inks to color in your image by just taking some of your stamp pad, smooshing it off on the side, misting it with some water, and then picking it up with a paintbrush. It works wonderful. If you want to see that, please let me know down below, and I can do a video on how to paint with your inks. So I'm cleaning off my stamp right now because I want to make sure that I get the residual of all of that ink off with what I'm going to do. This needs to be clean. So if you are going through and making different backgrounds, make sure you hit your stamp pad with some water and just really wipe it clean. No need to use a special stamp cleaner on this because it is a water reactive ink. So if you're using the dye inks, you can clean it up with some water. And now I'm pressing in my card front into that wet rubber stamp. And you're going to see what this does. It's so cool. I'm really giving it a nice press, making sure that it adheres nicely. And then boom, there you go. So it starts to lift some of that color up, which is super cool. And then I'm going to go ahead and just blot it and pick up even more of that color. And then I am going to hit it with my little heat it tool to get it dry so I can finish up this card. But isn't that just a really pretty front? I just love it. Okay, so for this next card, I actually am going to dive into his new sentiment and image stamps, those clear stamps. And I'm going to ink the inside of those clouds first, and also the puddle. I think that the puddle would be pretty in this new Breakup blue. So I'm doing that first. So you're going to notice I do almost everything in the little misty on this. So I'm just giving it a nice stamp. Now, since I haven't used this stamp before, it's not seasoned. And what that means is I need to stamp it a few times to get a crisp image. And after this, 1 or 2 stamps should do it from here on out. But whenever you have a new clear stamp, it's super important that you go ahead and ink it up and stamp it a few times because it just needs to get seasoned. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and swap out my stamps, line them up with my outline of the clouds and my sentiment. This just allows for the clouds to be super crisp, a nice crisp line over the colored image. I just like how that looks better. So I like to do the inside first and then do the outside. I just think it gives it a much crisper image and kind of less work on my part. So that's kind of why I do it. But you could totally do the outline first and then go ahead and do your filler image after that. And then from here, I'm going to actually use a little bit of this Sidewalk chalk to run it around the edges and just add a little bit of color to it. I really like the contrast between the Sidewalk chalk and the Breakup blue. I think it's so pretty. And you'll notice that at one point, I'm not sure if it's on this one or the next card, that I accidentally dab my tool into the wrong color, but I catch it before I do anything. And that happens from time to time. Just roll with it. All right. And I'm also lifting up some of that ink with little spots of water just to kind of soften it. I just love how that looks. I did go ahead and stamp out all of the sentiments, cut them down, and I did that in bee sting. That's listed down below as well. So those are ready to go. And I used pop dots on some of the sentiments to really make them stand out. And then others I just glued directly down onto the card front. And like I said, stick around to the end so you can see all of these great cards that I made from this stamp set and the background stamp, as well as the new ink. I didn't use a ton of ink colors on this. I primarily used that Breakup blue and then the Sidewalk chalk and then the bee sting for my sentiment colors, and then of course a black just for my sentiment and also to ink the edges of my strips. I'm adding a little bit of liquid pearls to this. I also took and did some glossy accent over that puddle so that it would look reflective like water. I thought that that was a really nice touch, but this card turned out super cute. I'm pretty happy with it, and it came together relatively quickly. What do you guys think? Do you like it? Let me know down below. All right, here we go. Let's show the rest of these cards. Here we go. This is how I finished up this one. Again, I used all of those similar products, like things I had to create, and I got a lot of different looking cards. I wasn't bored through the process. They all look like they go together, but they're not super boring and matchy, which I love. To color in my images, I did just go ahead and use some alcohol markers, making sure that I used a alcohol marker ink, a safe ink pad. I'll have that listed for you down below. But that one, I just love it. It's so cute. And then after this, we have one more for a total of 5 cards, I believe. And I think that I had to turn around and get it from behind. Anyway, I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for stopping in and checking out these new products and how I use them. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy crafting.